Good day, Patreon subscribers. Welcome to a bonus episode with me and Amanda, where I am sharing a ghost story from James the Librarian. Now, we're going to talk about creepy books we're reading and the most haunted places. And yes, I don't know how to say cravat correctly the first time. I mean, I do, but then I remember which one is correct, cravat or cravat, and I always go with cravat. And then later I'm like, nope, it was wrong. So I don't know how to say that correctly. It's a whole thing. Please remember to buckle your safety belts, have a toasty beverage nearby, and hose your gnomes. Let's do a bonus episode. Thank you for joining me on this cloudy morning. This will go live on November 1st, which is All Saints Day. So a ghost story the day after Halloween seems appropriate.
Ooh, okay.
So if you remember when we were talking about paranormal things, I said, if you have a ghost story, email it to me. We've got a doozy of a ghost story.
I'm so excited.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Grab your beverages. Here we go.
Got my coffee.
This is from James, who is a librarian in a, quote, mid-sized library in South Carolina. James corresponds with me a lot. James is awesome. So James writes, I'm going to ask you to avoid naming where I work and using my full name. Obviously, I will not. In regards to this story. Hang on. Get more food for the cat so he will chill out. So the library where I work is haunted.
Hell yeah.
I'm convinced of it. There have been stories of staff members hearing voices in the past, but we have a pretty wide open floor design, so you could always rationalize it that it was just drifting in from someplace else nearby or carried by the vents. But then James says, now I'm not so sure. Okay, strap in. A bit of background on the library. It was built where the old hospital used to be.
That'll do it.
Yep. Like, okay. Well, I entirely believe every ounce of this story.
Yeah, if you're not sure if something's haunted, the minute you reveal it was built where an old hospital used to be, you're like, okay, I've heard enough.
Yeah, okay, sure. So it was built where an old hospital used to be. That is not a story. That is absolutely 100% true and documented. There are unsubstantiated stories that the old surgery used to be where our administrative offices are in the building, and the morgue was where our founder's room is.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, story checks out.
I'm eating this up with a spoon. I'm like, give this all to me.
Yes, just unhinge your jaw. This particular story involves neither of those two locations, but right out on the main floor in front of circulation. We have an L-shaped set of fancy shelves where we sell used and donated books off as a way to help our library friends group. Recently, we installed a new high-def security system with motion-activated cameras. We also have a custodial crew that comes in to clean after hours. So
I'm vibrating over here.
I know, right? Amanda is ready. Shimmying in her chair. Shimmying. Okay. So in this instance, we had the cleaning crew wrap up at about 8 p.m., which was the last time the camera is triggered. So the cleaning crew leaves, that motion triggers a camera shot. It's like the camera on my porch. The minute there's movement, then it will send us an alert, a person, a package. I can also set it for animals or cars, but I don't need to know that much about my front yard. So the camera's triggered when the cleaning crew wrapped up around 8 o'clock. So I'm going to send you the first picture.
Oh, there's pictures!
Because James sent us pictures!
James, God bless you.
James, you have made our day. I don't know if I can tell you how much of our day you have made.
I can't wait. I can't wait for these creepy pics.
Okay, so here is the before picture.
Okay, I'm ready.
So it's a security shot. Here, why don't you describe the picture? So the people who will be seeing this, we will put this in the show notes, of course. But
yeah, it's a shot from behind the circulation desk. Yeah. So you have the circulation desk, and then you see this kind of wide open floor. There's some columns, there's 4 columns, and then you can kind of see farther in the front, a staircase, some chairs, to one side you can see more shelves, and to the other side,
right,
just like a walkway.
So it's like a really high angle, wide shot. You've got the whole
you're
desk.
Like looking down a little bit.
Yeah. I have to say, I really like those blue chairs.
Yeah. It's giving me like 1970s vibes for sure.
Oh, for sure. But the blue chairs are really nice. So the area that James is talking about is in the top left of the picture. You see the L-shaped
that bookcase.
Those bookcases, and then there's like a pillar and like a sign taped to the pillar.
The crook of the L and the pillar kind of line up.
Yes. So that's the area that we're talking about.
Okay.
So this was, if you look at the timestamp, 1950. So 7:50 p.m. on a Tuesday. Okay. There we go. Camera 1. Okay.
And this was this year.
This was this year. This was in March. Okay.
Oh, goodness.
The cameras triggered again at 7:22 the next morning.
Okay. So like 12 hours later.
12 hours later, I am going to send you after. Are you ready?
I'm so ready. Like, I've got goosebumps. I'm so ready to see this spooky business. Oh my God. Are those like books on the floor?
The cameras triggered again at 7:22 the next morning when a book flew off that shelf and hit the floor. Sadly,
there's like 1 or 2 books on the floor.
Yeah, it's at least 2. And they're just like flopped on the floor. And there's nothing else disturbed. Like if you look at the before and the after, all the other books are exactly where they were. It wasn't like a whole bunch fell over.
Yeah.
It's just,
I'm trying to figure out where it was pulled from, but I can't.
Nope, I can't either.
I can't see like where on the shelf it was yoinked from.
And if you look before and after, none of the other books move. So here's the info.
Goodness.
Sadly, there is about a half a second delay before the detection of motion and starting to record. By that time, the book had already hit the floor. And as you can see from the attached screenshot of the security camera software, we have a very wide angle field of view. All right, here's the creepy part. There is no way someone could pull that book off the shelf and get out of frame before the cameras turned on.
Yeah.
You'll also notice that all of the other books are untouched. If there was strong enough of a vibration to dislodge that book, it wouldn't have been just one. And as you can see from the image, those books are wedged in there pretty good. They're not hanging over the edge of the shelf.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, first of all, I love the forensic details that a librarian will notice. If you notice, none of the books are over the edge of the shelf. They are all in there in a very stable position because they're books and I am a librarian. So yeah, I'm convinced there is something going on. My next step is either clearing it with the library director so that I can spend the night, or at least place recording equipment in that spot. We haven't had anything else happen since, but I want to try to find out more.
Yes, James. I'm sending you all the good, positive vibes that the library will let you do this.
So thank you to James for sending me this email and sending me pictures and giving me permission to share the pictures with everybody for this bonus episode.
So amazing. Thank you so
James
much.
says that he will be sure to let us know if he's able to do either of the two and if he catches something.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Sarah, I don't know if this is ever feasible. I would love to do a live podcast at the haunted Nora Roberts Inn.
The Boonesboro Inn with Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Cool she and I are friends.
How cool would that be?
Oh my gosh, that would be annoying. And we could have Nora come and tell a ghost story because she's got that gravelly voice.
Yes.
And then the ghost said, "Fuck off."
Maybe we could do that for like next Halloween or something. We could put that in motion.
Oh my gosh. Because that inn is absolutely 100% no question haunted. I absolutely believe that to the core of my being.
Come on, Patreon. What do you think?
Yeah, let us know.
Podcast at the Boonesboro Inn with Nora?
We're like nerdy, creeped out ghost hunters on a podcast. So what's weird for me is that I am currently reading a book that you might like.
Okay. Is it the Invisible Women?
No,
book?
it's a different book.
Okay.
I went on a bit of a ghost nonfiction tear. You know, it is spooky season. Ghostland, an American history in haunted places.
Ooh.
Have you heard of this book?
No.
So it is by Colin Dickey. I think it came out a couple years ago in 2016.
Okay.
So it's been out. First of all, I will send you a link to the Amazon page, and I will put this in the show notes, of course. First of all, the cover is fabulous, but it is a book where the author, Colin Dickey, goes to supposedly haunted places all over the United States.
Yeah.
And breaks it down. So there's houses, then there's haunted bookstores and haunted businesses. There's a haunted Toys R Us in Sunnyvale, California.
Of course there is.
Of course there is. And what Colin Dickey does that is so good is examine, okay, what is the story about this ghost actually saying? What anxieties are being presented in this ghost story? Like you hear a lot of stories about, you know, buried on top of an ancient indigenous burial ground. That's a very familiar thing. Okay, well, that is an anxiety about the fact that according to Colin Dickey, the foundation of the American dream is owning property, and none of us own the property that we stole, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The best part is when Colin goes to Richmond, Virginia, like in the first 2 pages of that chapter, he's like, so explain to me why all these ghosts are white. Why are all the famous ghosts white? Can we talk about that? Let's break that down. It's so good. And I cannot read it before bed because sleep will not happen. I mean,
go ahead. I mean, like, I'm reading a spooky book right now, and I only read it like before bed.
Oh, that book looks creepy.
It is so nasty, and I mean that in the best way. It is so gross.
So is it like body horror and gore?
Yeah, 100%.
This is Leech, right?
Yeah, so it's like kind of like I get it, like a made-up-ish world, but like Victorian Gothic. You find out pretty early. So a doctor is going to treat a baron, or like be the resident doctor on call for this baron, and also investigate the death of the former doctor who lives there.
That's a very Gothic setup, only instead of being a young woman who is a nanny or a guardian, it's a doctor who's like, wait, wasn't that a Daniel Radcliffe movie?
Maybe.
Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe in a cravat. I think we've talked about that. The one where Daniel Radcliffe has a cravat as opposed to a scarf. He's not allowed to do any movies without neckwear. That's the rule. At this
point, there are several Daniel Radcliffe cravat movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you find out pretty quickly that the doctors are all know each other because they're hosts to this hive mind.
Oh, I love a good hive mind.
And so, like, the doctor that's now there is investigating technically its own death, the death of its host.
Right.
And they can communicate with, like, the other doctors that it's hosting. And early on, like within the first chapter or so, as they're doing the autopsy of the dead former doctor, it finds this, and it looks like this black
bottle
thingy, or like the black, I don't know, tendrils.
Right.
Finds it behind its host's eye, and it's like, oh, it seems I have a competitor for like being like a parasite essentially. But the thing is like its former host has its memories, or there's like gaps in its memory, so it has no clue how this parasite invaded its own host, how it got there, where it came from, where it's from. It has like no sort of knowledge about it whatsoever. It is so
has amnesia.
Yeah, it is so creepy, so nasty. It's a little steampunky.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I've been reading it like
it's amazing.
Yeah, before bed.
Oh my God. I have a podcast to recommend to you, speaking of creepy.
Okay.
It is called Uncanny.
Okay.
So if you like your ghost stories with a British accent, it's from the BBC.
I feel like only ghost stories should be told with a British accent.
Right. Now I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm going to double check myself because I want to double check that this person is, yes, okay, British. I didn't mistake the accent for a place that I am misattributing. So this person, Danny Robbins, is the host of a show called The Battersea Poltergeist.
Okay.
And now does a podcast where they investigate real life stories of paranormal encounters. So like one person will stay in a very haunted dorm and will tell stories, and then other people will write and be like, yes, I lived in that dorm. That dorm was haunted as hell. It's very creepy.
Does anyone remember that old MTV show, Fear? Anyone? Any of the Patreon members? Sound out. It's kind of like you get a group of people. They put them in like a very haunted thing, like an old prison or an old hospital. And they have to like do several challenges to earn money. Like you have to stay in this room by yourself for an hour, or like investigate this hallway or something like that.
Yeah.
And people can like tap out and leave, but they have like a little base of operations. I remember watching that as a child. Oh boy. I mean, I'm sure like because of reality TV shit's made up, but like I was obsessed with that show on MTV.
And the first episode is at the West Virginia State Penitentiary, which I know is haunted. Oh damn.
Yeah. There's like two places, right, in terms of hauntings that you don't really want to fuck with, and that's like hospitals and jails.
Yes, and places where there was a lot of death and trauma.
Yeah.
Like, for example, episode 2 is St. Agnes Hospital for the Chronically Ill. Oh yeah, it's haunted as hell, of course, absolutely.
For sure.
If there's going to be like residual stuff hanging around, that's the kind of place where it hangs out.
Yeah. I mean, you got the Toys R Us, but is the Toys R Us built on top of like an old jail?
No, it's a former farm.
Oh, so I mean, lots of accidents happen on farms.
That's exactly what happened. According to the story of the, you know what? I'm going to Google this to make sure I get this right. Haunted Toys R Us store. I mean, why wouldn't there be a haunted store? I mean, I'll be honest with you. Toys R Us is a little creepy.
Yeah, with like Tickle Me Elmos and Furbies or whatever.
So the Toys R Us is in Sunnyvale, California. Okay. Appropriate. And what apparently it was built on top of a farmland, and a farmhand named Johnny Johnson, Johnny Johnson. It's a good name for a ghost. Good name.
Sure.
So Johnson worked on the farm, fell in love with the owners of the farm's daughter, and then she went off and married another person, and he was brokenhearted. So one day while he was chopping wood, his axe slipped, he was gouged deep in the leg and slowly bled to death, and his unsettled ghost is keeping up with his chores. And now the store, I know, can you imagine being stuck for eternity doing chores?
That would suck.
It would suck. I mean, that's what's going to happen to me. You know, I'm going to come back as a ghost unloading the dishwasher. There
was this little like comic that I saw from like an artist I follow on Instagram, and it's Charon of the River Styx like paddling someone down, and they're in a hot dog costume. And he's like, they never tell you that you're stuck in what you're wearing when you die.
No.
Like, can you imagine that's like your last outfit is like when you die, whatever you're wearing?
Wouldn't that be amazing? How many hospital gown ghosts? Maybe that's why everyone thinks that ghosts wear sheets. They're actually wearing their hospital gowns and their butts are hanging out. But they don't turn. I mean, a good ghost won't turn around and show you their backside, right?
No, they'll just disappear first. They're like, you're not getting a peek at that. That'll cost you extra.
So according to the fact checkers at the San Francisco Chronicle, I guess this is SF Gate. I don't know. It's trying to tell me I need to like pay, but I'm not going to.
Of course.
You know, I would just love a little tip jar. I just want to read this one article. I will chuck 50 cents at you for it. Like, I can't subscribe to your entire newspaper to read one thing, but I will pay for an individual article.
Yeah, like you're on the East Coast. What do you need to do with San Francisco news?
Not a lot, basically. So they fact checked it. Elizabeth had been dead by the time the story allegedly takes place. They haven't been able to look
this San Francisco Gate, okay? You don't need to debunk this. Let us have it.
And allegedly, there's no evidence of anyone named Jan Johnson, but people who have worked in the store say that they have seen a man walking around, that they see somebody walking up and down the aisles who then turns a corner and disappears, and they're wearing old clothes. And we've talked about that, right? Like how some ghosts get stuck in a loop. You know, that's what he's doing.
The thing is like, you cannot believe ghosts. That's fine. But like, the fact that there are hundreds of thousands of people probably who have had like ghost experiences. Some of them have the same ghost experiences as others in the same place. Like, I don't know, man. Like, are all those workers just high as fuck? Maybe. You work in a Toys R Us. What else are you gonna do?
I would so light up before I went on a shift at Toys R Us or Babies R Us. So here's something very wild about this store. There is a related ghost, even though SF Gate couldn't find any evidence of John Johnson, who was allegedly in the store. The brother-in-law of Elizabeth's son, Martin, was a guy named Fred. And Fred died on that property when he was working on a pump in the farm well. So the well was next to a leaking gas tank, and he didn't show up for dinner. He was found at the bottom of the well, asphyxiated from the gas fumes because there's no oxygen down there. So Martin went down. The son's name is Martin. Martin went down to retrieve the body and decided that it would be a great idea on his way down, because it's getting dark, to light a candle. Oops. No! And he was blown out of the well by the explosion. He survived, but he was badly burned.
Of course he was.
That could be the source of this ghost. But here's the kicker. This is the greatest kicker. Toys R Us is gone. It was destroyed by a venture capitalist firm. So that location, it's a big empty location. Guess what it is once a year? Spirit Halloween. Gotta love a good Spirit Halloween, right?
I feel like Spirit Halloween should only set up shop in buildings rumored to be haunted.
Absolutely.
I feel like that is the plan going forward.
Yeah.
Halloween.
You want those creepy plastic skeletons to shimmy on the shelf. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And not rattle.
Because of a battery, because it's been possessed by an old farmhand ghost.
Do you have anybody in your neighborhood with the 20-foot Toys R Us?
No,
or the 20-foot Home Depot? It's Home Depot, right?
I wish. I posted this in a links post a couple weeks ago. But there's someone in Stowe, Vermont, has a skeleton called Mel the Skell.
As you do.
Runs an Instagram account where they dress Mel up in different outfits. There's one where like Mel, the giant skeleton, is wearing a t-shirt that says, "I love hot dads."
Who doesn't love a hot dad?
Yeah, so not even like seasonally appropriate costumes. Just,
like I get it though. If you're going to go through all the trouble to put up this giant skeleton, you're going to just leave it there and put a bikini on it and have some good summertime.
I have not peeped any big old skeletons.
We have a few. We don't
really have yards here.
One neighbor has inflatables. Okay, first of all, my dog hates the Halloween inflatables, especially because he gets very freaked out. Zeb does not like them.
Is this the blind one or the deaf one?
The blind one.
Okay. He probably just hears like a flapping.
He hears he can see shadows, and he hears the flapping, and he's like, "That is the biggest, most mutinous garbage bag. I must back away and get mad." And then his brother's like, "What's the matter? What's the matter? Something getting you? I'll kill it." So then he's like, "But that's an inflatable, my dude. This is not. I'm not worrying about this." And Zeb's like, "Get it. You should get it for me because I'm scared." And Buzz is like, "This is not a concern." So one of our neighbors has inflatables of the three witches from
the Sanderson sisters.
The Sanderson sisters, and it's adorable. It's so cute. And then a couple doors down, there are two people directly across from the high school and middle school who have the big skeletons.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm amazed they're still there, because if I were
high schoolers
in high school, I would be like, "I'm carting this into biology class today. We're going to take it on a tour." Like homecoming was last week. I'm surprised that there wasn't like a skeleton in the stands.
Yeah, we don't, like, in Boston proper and then like greater Boston, there aren't really yards to do a lot of decoration. But during our apple cider donut ventures, when we drive out to like the orchards.
I am living for these pictures, by the way. Yeah. There's first of all, fall sunlight is gorgeous. Orange pumpkins make everyone look great. And then there's these big sexy donuts. Like your feet is just chef's kiss.
But while we're driving out there, like I've been looking at your Instagram
and following your donuts.
But like driving out, we like get out of the city, so the houses have yards, and some of them like have decorations, so it's nice to see those. I've seen the Sanderson sisters one. I've seen the giant blow up dragon. Dragon. But no skeleton yet. I don't think we've peeped a skeleton. So.
Well, listen, I know you have Porch Pirate, so I don't know if I can send you one of those.
I'm so fucking pissed.
You're getting another package on Thursday, by the way.
Okay. I think I'm gonna be home anyway because I'm waiting for Halloween costume stuff.
Ooh.
And I can always text Stephanie to bring it in. So let me catch up for everyone.
Yeah.
Someone stole packages off my porch last Friday. One of which was a gift from Sarah, which was a Bon Maman advent calendar.
Yep. Spoiled that one, you Porch Pirate fucker. I wish diarrhea upon you.
And then I also bought some really cool D&D stuff. I bought a new set of dice, a character journal, a rolling like box for my dice, easily like $100 worth of D&D stuff.
Gone.
And my roommate gets like a knock on the door, and it's one of our neighbors who was like, hey, bunch of packages were stolen in the neighborhood along with two of my own, and we just like found the boxes torn open in the street. found this one that had Amanda's name on it, but like my dice one is MIA, but the empty box for the jelly calendar they returned, and I'm like, okay, cool. But I reached out to the dice seller. We'll see if they can do anything. But also, you idiot.
I know. Gross. Fucking gross. I will give you a tip. If it is a non-perishable, you can call your credit card company and ask if your consumer protection plan to that card includes theft protection.
Okay.
Some of them come with a theft reimbursement when shit goes sideways, because it's not quite the company's fault and it's not quite the delivery company's fault because they delivered it. It's, it's shitty humans. Shitty humans are always the problem, right?
I know. I'll look into it. I was just so bummed out. I'm like, are you kidding me?
What a fucking ass thing to do, I swear.
Yeah, and I've lived here 4 years and we've never had a problem. So, I'm expecting Halloween stuff. So,
do you hand out candy?
I don't. We don't get a ton of trick-or-treaters here.
Oh.
But we have a Halloween party to attend on Saturday.
What are you going dressed as?
So my partner wanted to do a couple's costume, and I said, sure.
Okay.
We'll do a couple's costume.
I'm sorry, pause. That's adorable. I love this so much.
Yeah.
Please tell me everything.
So they came up with the idea. So on our third date, we went and saw the 20th or 25th anniversary of Princess Mononoke in theaters.
Aww.
So they want to go as a gender swapped Ashitaka and San. So my partner Brian will be dressing up as San, the feral wolf child.
As you do.
And I will be dressed up as Ashitaka, the sexy archer man.
Aww.
So
I have 2 things to show you.
Okay,
before we sign off. So I have joined a local buy nothing, give stuff away for free group. It's actually, I'm horrible. I am running our participation, but it's all on Adam's Facebook because it's a Facebook group and I fucking hate Facebook. So I am Adam on the Facebook, and I'm like, oh, hi, this is actually his wife. I'm the one that has this. I have gotten rid of so many things that we don't need anymore. But this is the thing. I didn't expect anyone to want this. I'm sending you a picture. I did not expect anyone to want this. And I cannot tell you how many people I had comments saying, oh, please consider me for this costume.
Is it weird?
It spins.
It's really well done.
Yeah, it's from Target. I got it in 2016. That is a picture of Adam wearing a gold fidget spinner on his body.
Does it spin?
Oh, yeah. Spins all the way around. Yep.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. So I don't usually dress up for Halloween because I usually sit out front with my neighbors and we sit around a fire pit and we drink wine and eat the candy. And then if we get trick-or-treaters, they just come to us instead of going up and down all the steps.
Yeah.
Also scaring the shit out of my dogs. I try to keep the trick-or-treaters away from the doorbell. But this is my current project for Halloween for sitting outside.
Okay. Ooh.
Yes. And I will show you the amount of help that I am getting with this one. I am making an orange and black Halloween quilt for sitting outside.
Oh.
So helps. Wilbur is very happy because it's also orange and he matches.
Yeah,
perfectly.
Wilbur matches.
So I'm not making a costume this year. I am making a quilt.
You gotta be cozy.
Yeah. Sitting out by the fire pit. I've got quilts enough for everybody. I just needed one more. I'm like, well, I'll just make myself one.
Yeah, I've turned Brian onto the cozy life.
Yeah.
Got them a robe.
Ooh.
I
Fuzzy
know,
cozy robe?
yeah, a cozy robe. Well, they were like, you need a robe at our or like my apartment because you're always so cold. And so we bought a robe at Kohl's, and I feel like they use it more than I do. And I'm like, see, it's that robe life.
Yeah.
Got more blankets on the couch.
Gotta get the cozy going. It's my favorite thing to do, to get the cozy quilts and turn on the Xbox and power wash and snuggle under a quilt and build my... nesting is the greatest part of cozy season, right?
For sure. How's your power washing, by the way? Emma and I cleaned a gnome fountain, and it took us 3 hours.
Oh, yes. I started the gnome fountain. Well, actually... So I was helping my older child with his college applications. And because he's applying to music schools, he has to do a musical resume, which means listing all of the things that he's done musically. And I'm like, this goes back to 2015. So, okay. So he was like, I don't know how to format this. I don't know what a resume looks like. I'm like, all right, here, you tell me the things. I will type them up. So in order to keep him occupied, I handed him the Xbox controller. I was like, power wash this gnome fountain. And he's like, oh, I was in junior honors jazz band. I did this performance. Oh, what about that time?
Spraying a stone gnome in the face.
Oh, yeah. He's like, I just cleaned that gnome's taint, Mom.
Yeah.
You got a lot of gnome crotch in that fountain. You got to get the power washer under its cloak.
It's like a bidet.
It is.
You got to give him.
You got to hose your gnome. Well, that's the quote for this article or for this episode, everybody. You got to hose your gnome. Well, thank you. Have a very spooky Halloween.
You too. Enjoy all the candy and the cozy quilt and the wine.
Yeah. And I want to see pictures. Please send me pictures of your costumes so I can put them in the show notes.
Okay.
Thank you, as always, for being part of the Patreon. I hope you enjoyed this very creepy episode. If you would like to see the pictures, they are in the show notes, or there should be a link in the show notes to where you can see them. Thank you especially to James the Librarian for sharing this amazing story.